The world has new gods. They are not found in temples or worshipped with incense. These gods are not beings of spirit and myth. They are the gods of the here and now. They are money, fame, and power. We see them everywhere. They are on our screens and in our conversations. They promise happiness. They promise fulfillment. But these promises are often empty. Ancient cultures worshipped gods of nature. They offered sacrifices for rain and sun. They built temples to honor these deities. They prayed for their favor. Today we have replaced these ancient gods with new ones. Our temples are now glass and steel skyscrapers. Our sacrifices are our time and energy. Our prayers are for likes and followers. These new gods demand our constant attention. They thrive on our desires. They whisper promises of wealth, recognition, and influence. We are drawn to their allure. We crave their approval. We strive to accumulate their tokens of success. But in this pursuit, we often lose sight of what truly matters. We forget the values that bring genuine happiness. This shift in worship is subtle. It creeps into our lives unnoticed. We become so accustomed to their presence that we fail to question their influence. We become consumed by the pursuit of their hollow rewards. We become, in essence, worshippers of false gods. Our modern idols have their own temples. These temples are not made of stone or marble. They are the glowing screens of our televisions, computers, and phones. We gather around these screens as if in reverence. We spend countless hours in their presence. We offer our time and attention as sacrifices. On these screens, we witness the lives of the rich and famous. We see their opulent homes and exotic vacations. We hear stories of their accomplishments and influence. They become the embodiment of our desires. We envy their wealth, their status, their apparent happiness. Social media has become a digital coliseum. Here, we display our achievements and curate our lives for the approval of others. We seek validation through likes and comments. We measure our worth by the number of followers we amass. We become performers in a never-ending spectacle of self-promotion. The constant barrage of images and information numbs our senses. We become desensitized to the suffering of others. We lose sight of the beauty and wonder that exists beyond the digital realm. We become trapped in a cycle of consumption and comparison. We are left feeling empty and unfulfilled, even as we strive to accumulate more. Thomas felt a growing unease. He observed the world around him with a mix of sadness and apprehension. He saw how these new gods, these idols of the modern age, held sway over people's hearts and minds. He saw it in the relentless pursuit of wealth, the obsession with status, the constant need for validation. He felt it most acutely when he looked at his children. They were growing up in a world saturated with these false promises. He saw how easily they were drawn into the allure of the digital world, how they craved the approval of their peers, how they measured their worth by the standards set by these modern idols. Thomas himself had fallen prey to these temptations. He had spent years chasing promotions and bigger paychecks. He had sought validation in his accomplishments and possessions. He had allowed himself to be defined by his job title and his income. But somewhere along the way, he realized that this pursuit had left him feeling empty and unfulfilled. It was a gradual awakening, a slow realization that the things he had been chasing were not the things that truly mattered. He had achieved a level of material success, but it had come at a cost. He had sacrificed time with his family, his own passions, his sense of purpose. He had allowed himself to be defined by external measures of success rather than by his own internal compass. Section 4. The Almighty Dollar. Money, Thomas realized, was perhaps the most pervasive and insidious of these modern idols. It had become the ultimate measure of success, the yardstick by which people judged their own worth and the worth of others. It was the driving force behind so many decisions, the object of so much desire and anxiety. He saw it in the way people worked themselves to exhaustion, sacrificing their health and well-being on the altar of financial security. He saw it in the way people compared themselves to others based on their income, their possessions, their perceived wealth. He saw it in the way material possessions were imbued with an almost mythical power, promising happiness, security, and fulfillment. Money had become both a source of comfort and a source of stress. It promised security, yet it fueled anxiety. It offered freedom, yet it often felt like a trap. People worked tirelessly to accumulate more, yet they never seemed to have enough. They were caught in a cycle of consumption and debt, forever chasing after a moving target. Thomas knew that money was not inherently evil. It was a tool, a means to an end, but it was a tool that could easily be misused, a means that could easily become an end in itself. He had seen it happen to himself, and he saw it happening all around him. People had become so focused on accumulating wealth that they had forgotten how to live. Section 5. A Father's Fear. Thomas's greatest fear was not for himself, but for his children. He saw how easily they could be seduced by the allure of these false gods. They were growing up in a world where they were constantly bombarded with messages that equated happiness with wealth, success with fame, and fulfillment with material possessions. He saw it in the way they coveted the latest gadgets, the designer clothes, the experiences that money could buy. He saw it in the way they compared themselves to their peers, measuring their own worth by the standards set by social media and popular culture. He tried to talk to them about it, to explain the emptiness of these pursuits, to instill in them a sense of values that went beyond the material. But his words often seemed to fall on deaf ears. They were growing up in a different world, a world where these false gods held a powerful sway. He worried that they would spend their lives chasing after shadows, sacrificing their time, their energy, and their true selves in pursuit of empty promises. He worried that they would never experience the deep and abiding joy that came from pursuing one's passions, from connecting with others on a meaningful level, from living a life of purpose and meaning. Section 6. Choosing a different path. Thomas knew he couldn't shield his children from the world. He couldn't control the messages they were exposed to, the temptations they would face. But he could set an example. He could show them that there was another way, a path that led to genuine happiness and fulfillment. He resolved to live a life guided by love, truth, and wisdom. He would prioritize his relationships, his passions, and his own personal growth. He would measure his success not by the size of his bank account or the number of followers he had, but by the depth of his relationships, the impact he had on others, and the contributions he made to the world. He would teach his children to be critical thinkers, to question the messages they were being fed, to look beyond the surface and seek out what was true and meaningful. He would encourage them to pursue their passions, to use their talents to make a difference in the world, and to find joy in the simple things in life. Thomas knew it wouldn't be easy. The pull of these modern idols was strong, but he was determined to choose a different path for himself and for his children. He would walk away from the false promises of wealth, fame, and power, and embrace the enduring values of love, truth, and wisdom. He would show his children that true happiness lay not in what you had, but in who you were and how you lived your life.